Okay, so today we are looking at 5.1, which is angles in mathematics, and you are given this in your modules, so don't worry about having to copy this down or anything. All right, so we're just going to do some review. So the first one's acute angle, any angle that's less than 90 degrees, and obtuse is any angle that's greater than 90 but less than 180, and then a right angle is always a perfect 90 degrees, and you'll always see, well, mostly you'll see this little square inside, which represents it's a 90-degree angle. All right, so anytime you see that square, you know that it is 90 degrees. A straight angle, so a straight line like this, will always have an angle of 180 degrees. So if you think about that, it's if you had a line going through here like that, that was perpendicular, 90 plus 90 gives you the 180 degrees. A reflex angle is any angle that's greater than 180 degrees, but it's less than 360, all right? So if you made a full circle, that's how you'd get the 360 degrees. Congruent angles, congruent meaning they'll have the same measure. So here we've got two angles here. They are congruent, so they are both 30 degrees. Adjacent angles will be two angles that share a common vertex. So the vertex would be right here, and a common arm, right? So they share a common arm like this. All right, so the two adjacent angles would be here and here. Complementary angles are two angles that add up to 90 degrees. So 40 plus 50 here are complementary because they add up to 90. 40 plus 50 is 90. And then supplementary are two angles that will always add up to 180 degrees. Okay, so in this example, 120 plus 60 gives me 180 degrees. Okay, a linear pair, two angles again that are adding up to 180 degrees. So the angle here and angle here are going to add up to 180. Opposite angles, congruent angles formed when two lines intersect. So these two lines are intersecting. So these two angles here are the opposite angles, x and x. And then these two angles here are opposite, and they're going to be the same value. The dot and the dot will be the same value, x and x will be the same. The transversal is a line that intersects two other lines. So here's two lines, and this would be the transversal here. All right, that's the line that's intersecting the two other lines. And when that happens, we have names of other angles. So here we have two lines. This is called line 7, this one's line 8, but they are two lines, and it says here they are corresponding angles if line 7 and 8 are parallel. So line 7 and 8 are parallel here, and then we have a transversal. All right, so corresponding angles, x and x here are corresponding angles, m and m are corresponding angles. The black dot would be corresponding angles, and then the O and O would be corresponding angles. Parallel lines are two lines that are parallel. It's represented by two lines like this. That means parallel. Parallel lines will never intersect each other. They'll always remain the same distance apart. That's what it means here. They're equidistant apart at all times. Two lines are perpendicular if they meet at 90 degrees. All right, so this line here is perpendicular to this line here, and it's making a 90-degree angle. All right, next we have interior alternate angles. So interior are the ones on the inside. So this one, these four angles are interior. Okay, they're on the inside of the two parallel lines. So the x here and the x, those are interior alternate angles. And then we have the two dots, which are interior alternate angles. And again, line 1 and 2 have to be parallel. Anytime you see this equal sign with the little squiggly, that just means congruent. And then we have exterior alternate angles. These are the ones on the outside, right? So outside, 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 outside. So we have the O and the O. Those are exterior these are the two exterior alternates, and the other two are the dots. Okay, so this one and this one. Those are the two other exterior alternate angles. Okay, so we're looking at our first example, and this is what it looks like. We have the little square here. We know that means 90 degrees, so we can safely say that angle 1 here, that is 90 degrees. 90 degrees there. All right, if this is 90 degrees, we've got a straight line like this. Therefore, this area here also has to be 90 degrees. So if we have part of it is 50, that means the 2 here has to be 40 to make that 90 degrees. All right, so angle 2 here has to be 40 degrees. So I'm just going to put here it's 40 degrees, and I'm just going to add it here as well, 40 degrees for angle 2. All right, so that leaves us with angle 4 and angle 5. So angle 5 will be the same as angle 2. It's not the best diagram, but they are opposite. So angle 5 is going to be 50 degrees. Sorry, these two are opposite here. Angle here is 50 degrees, and this is angle 5, which will also be 50 degrees. So when I have these, I do like to fill them in on the diagram as well. It just helps when you're figuring everything out. So it's always a good idea to put your degrees in the diagram as well. All right, so we're just left with angle 4. So angle 4 is here. It's a straight line, so we know this total angle has to be 180. So to figure out angle 4, you can just subtract 180 minus 50. So 180 minus 50 degrees, which gives me 130. So next, two complementary angles, we know that they're going to add up to 90 degrees. So two angles that add up to 90 degrees, we can say 50 degrees and angle 2 are two complementary angles. So I'm just going to use angle 2 and 50 degrees. And remember that angle 2 is 40, so 40 degrees, and the 50 degrees, which equals to 90 degrees. Two supplementary angles, these are going to be two angles that add up to 180. All right, so two supplementary angles here. We can use angle 4 and 5, the two that will add up to 180 degrees. So angle 5 and angle 4, which was 50 degrees, and 130 degrees, which gives me 180 degrees. All right, so our next angle or our next example, we are given this diagram here, and we have to figure out angle 2, angle B, and angle 4. And again, it's good to fill it in the diagram so we can see exactly what's happening. So let's do angle 4 first. So we have 130 here, and this is angle 4. It is a straight line, so it does have to add up to 180. All right, so for angle 4, just 180 minus 130, which gives me 50 degrees. All right, so angle 4 here is 50 degrees. All right, and once we know that, we can fill in the rest using our knowledge of opposite angles and alternate angles and so on. So it's 130 here, so therefore angle 2 here will also be 130 degrees. And I'm just going to fill in for angle 3 as well. It would be 50 degrees. All right, and now we can fill in the bottom portion because the two lines are parallel. All right, so Angle 4 and angle A would be the same, which is 50 degrees. Therefore, angle D will also be 50 degrees. Angle C, so 130, 130. And therefore, angle B will also be 130 degrees. All right, so angle B here is 130 degrees.